Well, welcome to another edition of Pandas Mobile. I'm here at Ebury Hill on a very blowy May afternoon. So if you do hear a bit of background noise, it's because it's a working campsite. But it's very nice to be here. But it's a little bit blowy outside and it's been raining a little bit, so I thought I'd come in and make a quick video. So in a previous video, we looked at the 12 volt system in the back of Hetty My Roma home. We looked at the pump, we looked at the light system, but we looked at the accessory socket as well, the 12 volt auxiliary socket. Remember the switch that said AUX stands for auxiliary socket, if you like, the old-fashioned cigarette lighter socket. Now those are fine if you plug an adapter in and you want to charge your phone or your iPad or recharge your power pack or something like that. But what happens if you want to charge something that's a bit more powerful, like your laptop perhaps? And they draw a lot more power, they draw a lot more current, and you can't easily get 12 volt adapters that slip right in. So what you have to do is get an inverter, and these are very cheap inverters that Arnold's looking at after here. So what we're going to do, we're going to get rid of Arnold and we're going to have a look at these two inverters, and using my laptop, my MacBook, as a dummy, we will see how they work and see if we can get some power to charge the MacBook. So today we're looking at cheap 12 volt inverters. Okay, let me say first of all that the best way to power any appliance or any adapter or anything that you've got that's electrical in your camper van is to buy the proper 12 volt adapter for it. For the video camera batteries, I've got a 12 volt charger for them. The problem is if you do use inverters like this Bestek Inverter here, what you're doing is you're actually plugging into a cigarette lighter socket, you're powering that, and then you're powering the device you're trying to charge. So there's a lot of waste energy in using an inverter. So the first thing I will say is please try and get the correct charger you want for whatever item you're going to charge. But sometimes you can't do that. For instance, my MacBook Pro, the proper 12 volt charger for it is a horrendous amount of money, absolutely horrendous. So I decided that I wasn't going to do that. I was in fact going to buy a cheap inverter to charge it. So let's look at the first one. Both the inverters we're going to look at today are made by a company called Bestek, who make reasonable quality inverters at reasonable prices. Okay, so this is a little Bestek inverter charger, and there it is. This is 150 watts, this one, 150 watts. That's quite a lot of power. Most cigarette lighters are, or accessory sockets, are fused at 10 amps, and that's 120 watts. So bear that in mind, that these two inverters may be able to charge more power than that, but your cigarette lighter socket may not be able to take more power than that. But that's okay, because what it's likely to do is blow its fuse before it does any damage. But this is rated at 150 watts, so theoretically it can charge any appliance up to 150 watts. The good thing about it is it's got the traditional 3-pin British plug socket, so you can plug an appliance into it, and it's also got 2.1 amp and a 1 amp USB port, so you can also charge your phones and your iPads and things like that at your camera batteries at the same time as using the plug socket. It simply slides into your cigarette light socket, your adapter, your 12 volt auxiliary socket, and you'll hear a little fan come on, a little green light comes on, and then it's ready to use. Now what I've got in front of me just in my lap here is a little 12 volt adapter, a little extension lead, so hopefully we'll just be able to plug this straight in. You'll be able to see the green light come on and hear the little fan going. So there we are, that's the fan going and the little green lights come on, and that will now whir away and cool itself and charge whatever you want to charge. So that's the first one. That's a little Bestek 150 watt power inverter. Does the job perfectly. This is very useful for power on the move. This one, because of its shape and design, plugs into my cigarette lighter, or if you like, my auxiliary socket in the dashboard of Hetty, and then I can put a plug socket to charge my MacBook in that as I go along. So it works very well for travelling, charging on the go, this one. Let's have a look at the other one. Okay, so let's look at the next one. The next one, again, is a little Bestek charger, and there it is. Don't worry about the 200 watts label that I've put down here myself. I did that myself just to remind me of how much power this one provides. This one provides 200 watts. It comes with, again, an auxiliary cigarette lighter, socket, call it what you will, which just plugs into the end here. Plugs in like that, quite simply. If I've got my glasses on and put the plug in the right way around, of course, plugs in like that. This time it gives you two 3-pin plug sockets, and again it gives you 4 USB ports on the back. There's the 4 USB ports just there, and it's also got on one end, one side, there it is, an on-off switch as well. Now this is 200 watt, this one. Again, be aware that you can only normally get, if you had a 15 amp fuse in your socket, you would get 180 watts coming out of a cigarette lighter socket or an auxiliary socket. So again, you wouldn't normally be able to get 200 watts down, but it's quite handy if you wanted to plug, say, 2 laptops at once and charge them. Then that's why it's got the two 3-pin plugs there. Again, let's plug this one in, and you can hear it running, and just see it light up. There it is. I've plugged it into the little extension cable. If we turn it on, you might just be able to hear the little fan whirring. There's the little fan whirring, and there's a little green light just come on just there to tell you it's charging. Now this one I actually keep in the back of Hetty on double-sided Velcro against the wall near a 12-volt accessory socket. In fact, I'll show you later on where that is, but that enables me to have 240 volts on the go. Enables me to have 240 volts quite easily to charge my MacBook Pro without having to get a very expensive 12-volt converter for it. And what we'll do now in just a moment is we'll set up an experiment to do that, and then you'll be able to see how easy it is to charge the things on the go and how easy they are to use. Okay, so what I've done is we've got a second camera focusing on the MacBook screen just here, and there is the percentage, 76% it says for the battery life there. Now what we should do is when I plug the inverters in, you should see that you should hear the Mac go boing, and you should see that charging start. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the little Bestek inverter, the little cheap one, little small red and black 150 watt. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that into the extension cable. You should see the green light come on and hear the motor start. There we are, the green light has come on and the motor has started. Now if we focus on the MacBook screen, we should see at the top there, hear a little boing, and the 76% go into charging. Let's have a go doing this live. Let's see if it works. Yes, so there you can see we've now got a little plug just up there showing that it's gone on to charging. So this pulls down about 61, 62 watts, which is really a lot to take out of a cigarette lighter socket. So we know that this little Bestek charger, all connected together, does in Bestek Inverter, I beg your pardon, does charge the MacBook Pro. So we're going to disconnect this little one now, and we're going to move straight on to using the bigger one. Okay, same again. There we are, the little 2-socket Bestek 200 watt one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to plug the cigarette lighter into the adapter here. Oh! Gone right in. We'll turn it onto on. You should see the lights come on and perhaps hear it whirring. Little green lights come on and it is now whirring. Okay, so if we focus back on the MacBook screen again, I'm going to plug the MacBook's power plug in, and we're hoping to see that 76% turn into a battery again. Again, we're focusing on this just here where it says 76%. You should see that change into a little battery charging status. Here we go. And there we go. Bit of luck, straight away. You might have heard it go dong, and there it is, immediately showing a little charging plug there. So the 200 watt Bestek is also charging the MacBook Pro, the 60 plus watts that it needs, that you wouldn't normally get out of a 12 volt inverter. So that's working really well. Really pleased with that. Thank goodness that worked. And there, look, is a little 150 watt Bestek plugged in Hetty's dashboard. You'll see the light on, and you might just be able to hear it thundering away, just to prove that it fits in the dashboard of Hetty really comfortably, so I can charge the MacBook while I'm driving along. Okay, so I did promise to show you where that Bestek 200 watt twin plug socket inverter lives in my van. Here we are at the back. This is the fridge here, so come in the back door, there's the fridge, and I've put in a double socket there, double socket, twin USBs at the top and a single 15 amp auxiliary socket beneath it. I've put that in there, and on double-sided Velcro there is that little Bestek 200 watt inverter. I've put it there because I sit opposite it on this bench just there. I tend to sit on that bench, and when I plug the laptop in to be charged through the inverter, the cable goes very snugly across the aisle when it's sitting on my lap, so it doesn't get caught up or anything. When I disconnect this, it simply pulls out of there, put the cover back on, I just pull the little plug out the bottom, and it lives in one of those Beagle pots that hangs up. Look at Simple Storage Solutions in C15 Roma Homes, you will see Beagle pots. I just pull the cable out the bottom, store the cable for the Bestek inverter in one of the Beagle pots, and that's where I keep it on double-sided Velcro in my Roma home. So these two little Bestek inverters that we've been talking about today, they are just simple, cheap inverters to enable you to power something that's got a little bit more power than you would be able to draw down normally out of a 12 volt adapter in a accessory socket. What we're not talking about, if you watch self-build camper channels and that sort of thing, they talk about built-in inverters, and what they are, they're much more powerful inverters that are built into the system, the electrical system of the vans. They're not little plug-in inverters like these. And as I say, the best way really to charge any device is to buy its proper 12 volt charger if you can. But these little devices, these simple little ones, these are just to use very occasionally if you need to charge your laptop or your MacBook or something a little bit more powerful once a day, or perhaps to run something that needs a little bit more power. But they are not the inverters that they talk about that are built into systems on massive camper vans or self-builds. They are something completely different. Although they do the same job, they are great big lumpy things that are built into the charging system and the power system, the 12 volt power system of the van, and they produce a heck of a lot more wattage and thus take a lot more power. So you could have a massive television and a gaming console and that sort of thing all running off those ones. These are just for charging your laptop and that sort of thing. I hope this has been a successful another little video for you. I've tried to avoid saying too much because I say a lot on a lot of my videos, and I apologise for that. Again, this is something I hope has been a little bit useful, and he's whining at me from the other side of the van. Hang on. There he is. Didn't get to take part much in this one, young Arnold, but he did introduce you to the two inverters. Again, if you like the channel, please do subscribe, get your friends to subscribe. It's really useful stuff, I hope, anyway. I'm trying to diversify a little bit away from just Roma Home stuff, but essentially I own a Roma Home, so I do a lot of Roma Home stuff. Hope this one's been useful to you. Simple 12 volt inverters. Like, subscribe, and me and Arnold will see you on the next one. Bye bye now.